Right, we're now joined by Mohammad Marandi, who joins us from Vienna, where the talks are actually taking place. Of course, he is a university professor from Tehran University. So the talks have restarted. What can we expect today, and does Iran have a sense of urgency?
No, Iran has no sense of urgency whatsoever. Iran will only accept a deal where the United States and the Europeans fully abide by their commitments, and those commitments are verified. And Iran also seeks compensation for the hundreds of billions of dollars of damage caused by the United States and the Europeans for their violation of the deal and the murder of innocent Iranians who were unable to obtain medicine and whose lives were destroyed as a result of their huge violations of all of their obligations in the deal. The Iranians know that the United States and the Europeans have no leverage. They've already used maximum pressure. There's nothing higher than maximum pressure unless they want to engage in military conflict. And after Afghanistan and with the rise of China and Russia, we know that the United States is in no position to engage in some military operation in which the results would be devastating for the United States as well. So the smart thing for the United States to do is to accept the reality on the ground, and that is full verification and full application of their commitments in the JCPOA.
How likely do you think that is? And of course, Iran is also asking for sanctions to be lifted. You're mentioning compensation as well. Yes. How likely is a breakthrough today?
It's unclear because the United States and its European allies are making all sorts of childish threats. And Iran has been threatened by these countries before. We all remember how the United States, Britain, Germany, France gave Saddam Hussein chemical weapons and conventional weapons to attack and kill Iranians. We know how they also support MEK, the MEK terrorist organization, among other terrorist organizations that have killed thousands of innocent Iranians.
Okay, Professor Marandi, sorry to interrupt. On the subject of threats, we have Israeli officials in Washington today, defense officials, discussing possible military drills to practice destroying Iranian nuclear facilities. Are those threats? Is that chest thumping? What are these comments?
Well, the Israeli regime is in no position to do anything against Iran. Any attack would have a response that would be crushing. The Israeli regime is puny, it's small, it's completely dependent on the United States and the Europeans. And the United States, which is the real power, it's Iran's real antagonist in the region. The United States, we've seen how they failed in Afghanistan and the challenges that they now face in Ukraine and Thailand and Taiwan and elsewhere. So the Iranians don't take such threats seriously. And also, even if the United States and the Europeans want to take the JCPOA back to the UN, nothing will really happen.
Okay,
because if the UN sanctions are revived...
Back to these threats, does Israel have the capacity to attack Iran's nuclear facilities?
No, the Iranian nuclear facilities are well protected. The sensitive elements of the facilities are underground, and the knowledge is not something that can be destroyed. True, the Israelis kill many innocent people, but they can't destroy knowledge. And the Iranian response would be devastating for the regime. You would have thousands of missiles devastating Israeli infrastructure, and no one could complain because it would be as a result of Israeli aggression. But I would like to add just one final point, and that is if the United States and the Europeans think that they can threaten Iran with taking the JCPOA back to the UN Security Council, that's a mistake, because this very limited sanctions that existed in the previous UN Security Council resolutions are nothing compared to the maximum pressure campaign. And in fact, they are all a small part of the US maximum pressure campaign. So it would only have psychological effect. The reality is that the United States and the Europeans have used all their leverage. They have no leverage. The world is changing. Either they accept reality and abide by their commitments that they made in 2015, or they lose.
All right. Professor Mohammad Marandi, always a pleasure to speak to you, and you're there at the talks in Vienna. We'll be covering this very closely here on TRT World. Thank you so much for your time and analysis. Appreciate it.